It's another Tuesday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I'm Mariah Afolabi, and as always, I never do this alone. I have the ladies in the building.
Hey.
YK in the building.
Joe.
How you doing?
I'm fine. I'm very
Good to have you on the
Thank
show.
you. It's good to be on the show.
Brown, burnt orange. Those colors look so good on you, YK.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Anything?
No,
Any gist for us? What
just
happened the weekend? Nothing interesting?
I never have any interesting gist over the weekend. I never. When I hear you people, oh, it's so amazing.
Oh, no, I'm going to
It's
go
so-
It's something your old woman do for during the weekends.
That's for me to know and for you to find out.
Oh, right. You keep it young. You know, you do active things. Okay, it's good. I heard that once you're 40, your hormones start to change.
I don't know.
How you doing,
I
Nima?
don't know. I'm still finding my feet on the floor.
Oh, goodness. Why can't we not let us hear word on this chair matter?
You know, I sit so uncomfortably because if I put my leg down, it's hanging. If I do like this, I'm
Okay, we
hanging.
told everybody we're comfortable. You're the only one that's not comfortable. Even our guest yesterday said she's comfortable, so please don't go there.
Guess is lying to you. Nigerian style.
How are you doing, Nima?
I'm very, 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 very happy. So my break started on Wednesday, and I broke my phone, and I got home to a new phone. Serious loving over the weekend.
You got a new phone?
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Oga got me a new phone, actually.
Oh,
So I want to say special thank you to Oga, because we went for the One Uma Peace and Unity concert on Sunday at the Oriental Hotels, and a lot of Muslims, all your View fans, they were just telling me, everybody's leaving Your View, don't try it. So I'm not trying it anytime soon. But a lot of people came, and it was really, really massive. So we had talks on family, we had talks on, you know, choosing the right couple and everything. And in between the talks, I got messages appreciating me from my husband saying, I married an amazing woman because of the talk. So I really, really feel, you know, that feeling of getting appreciation like that.
That's
just
nice.
Gets you. So my head is in the sky.
All right. Good for you.
Okay, for those of us who don't
How you
have
doing,
husbands,
Treasure?
I'm fine.
Good to have you back. Treasure in the building. Good to have you on.
I'm happy to be back.
So what's going on in your life?
Okay, well, for those of us who don't have husbands yet, I'm still very happy because work has been going smoothly.
This is your year to just work. Don't think of a husband. In fact, in the next 3, 4, 5 years, that doesn't concern
Don't mind
you.
that.
Just work.
Just
yeah,
do
you're,
you.
Do you mind me asking how old you are?
I'm 20.
Oh my goodness, she's so young.
baby.
Oh, we're so old. Oh
You
my
are
goodness.
I can talk
I'm
for
not too far
yourself.
from
Anyway,
20.
the point is that, listen, I
a
would always
small girl.
advocate that, listen, at least till you're 25, you have no business. For me, this is my own personal philosophy of life. Between this time and 20, work, experience things, go to have relationships, have fun, party, do what you got to do. 25, then you're ready to start thinking of settling down. If not, when you enter the marriage,
But isn't it possible
We
to
are
have all that
partying
fun
inside.
within the marriage?
Yes,
like
you
you
can.
party
Very possible.
in the marriage
No,
with
see,
your husband.
that's how you start.
Do you
Trust
have a
me.
boyfriend?
Yeah, I do.
It does.
Serious or unserious?
Serious. What's the point of having an unserious boyfriend?
My sister, God will bless
shouldn't
you.
get
I just,
serious.
you see,
Girl,
I
you
just
shouldn't-
love you. I saw you last Tuesday. I loved you. I
Treasure.
just love you when you're
Right.
here.
Don't get
I
too
love
serious.
you.
Just have fun. Date. Because I see lots of young people get married early. They get to 30, 28, and they're thinking, oh my God, my whole life has just been
they were
kids,
confused from the
marriage,
beginning.
the whole life. And you just feel like you lost out on the fun of life. That's how I feel.
How
So
old were you when you got married?
I got married at 29.
So you really had fun.
Trust me, I had my own bag of fun.
I saw that your Instagram post.
Yes, you
way back
should.
then in
Don't think settling down now. Just enjoy yourself.
Treasure.
Right?
I'm sure her
Personal
boyfriend is like
choice, personal
watching this
choice.
and is like really livid. What kind of advice
Why
is
is
this
this
woman
woman
giving?
giving? Who is this woman?
Treasure?
Why
Can you imagine? How is your boyfriend?
She's a baby.
He's
She's
25.
not. She's
Yeah,
20.
he's getting to the age.
No, he's not even ready either. 25, he's a
baby.
kid.
I don't think
He's not a
25
kid.
25 is
kid.
young.
He's
To me,
not.
oh, 25
He's
is
a
young.
baby.
At
For a man
all.
to get-
He's
I
not a
think
kid.
a man should wait till at least he's 30.
30, yeah. Then you're getting ready
The
to...
thing is, lots of people have
See my
different.
hands up. Oh, I don't know
Now,
these two women.
That's the
I
best
don't know
time.
them.
You see,
Lots
at
of-
30, 35, he's getting ready to settle down.
this
He
analysis.
has an apartment. But at 25, he's still dating, please.
Lots of people have different like opinions about the age and
I will
everything,
introduce
but
you to someone
there's
here.
so few people that are in my age bracket that have, by the grace of God, have achieved, you know, all that I have, and I'm here today. I thank God for that. So there are very few people in my age bracket or that are 20 years old that are done with school. I finished university last year, working and everything.
Thank you, Treasure. Don't let me just tell you I told you so. Let's go on a break. When we come back, we'll go through the front pages of the newspaper. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Okay, I just...
Sorry. Abinu. Okay, we're back. Let's go to The Punch. The Vice President of Shimbaja restates support for state police. Today, the challenges that we are facing are enormous. A federation of 200 million people and a state cannot control its own police. There must be state police. Police arraign Togolese cook for Credit Suisse chairman's murder. Father discovers 2 children dead inside freezer. FG okays 1,300 CS of O's repairs roads in 14 varsities. Hoodlums vandalize 18 vehicles, rob 2 traders in Lagos clash. UK delaying the Designers trial, says Magu. Governors against local government autonomy are Nigerians' enemies, says Obasanjo. Court revokes Orji Kalu's bill over Germany trip. And FG borrowed over 2 trillion to fund 2017 budget, says DMO. Let's start with the human interest story. Is this Togolese man who's finally been arraigned?
Yeah, I wanted to talk about him because there are so many loopholes in the story that and the police yesterday put out a statement that the guy confessed. But the guy has pleaded not guilty. How can somebody who confessed plead not guilty? He would have pleaded, and then when you even when I read through his supposed confession, there are too many loopholes. He tied the guy up, then they started fighting. How can someone that is tied up be fighting? How can the knife, you didn't bring out the knife. The guy that you have tied up reaches for the knife. So the story, look, the Nigerian police, they need to tell us the truth about this. This is not a true story, and I hope that they're not arraigning somebody who is not guilty.
Of course, they will have to establish whether his confession was voluntary.
Exactly, because they showed the video of the guy saying he didn't do it, and now his confession, we are not seeing the video.
They should further investigate the matter.
They have to investigate.
Don't want somebody to be a scapegoat for
Exactly.
somebody else's crime.
So hoodlums attacked, you want to take the story?
Yeah, hoodlums attacked in one market, and it happened in the early hours of this Sunday that just passed. And it was like they were fighting for who is more superior on the streets. They were actually, they vandalized up to 14 vehicles,
18, I think.
18 vehicles, including those that they used to transport goods out in and out of the market. Market women were really, really lamenting, and there were up to 25 robbers, hoodlums, you know.
So this fight has been on for 6 months, trying to get to declare who is more superior between the Oyinbo and the Ebute Metta people. And I think the police will try and curb this because, you know, that's a very, very important business area. Women who are putting their investment shouldn't be losing funds. They were vandalizing shops, stealing from people, stealing proceeds of their goods.
There was another story in Punch I wanted us to talk. The father who discovered 2 children dead inside the freezer. I don't understand how that happened. Okay, we'll take it in the Telegraph. Let's move on to The Nation very quickly. Buhari or Shimbaja lash out at restructuring advocates. Picture here of our vice president, the governor of Lagos State, and Sanwo-Olu is always in the pictures.
He's campaigning now.
Campaign hasn't started.
Successful campaign.
He's always like next to Ambode. I don't understand why. 4.7 billion naira fraud. Ladoja has case to answer, says court. EFCC recovers 794 billion naira and 407 houses. And Access Bank, Diamond stocks up, down over talks. So as I was saying, this picture, anyway, let's move on. But I was going to talk about this restructuring thing. Our president was saying, talking to Nigerians in France, that listen, restructuring people who talk about restructuring lazily. They don't know. They've not really defined to us what they mean by restructuring. Osinbajo, on the other hand, was saying in Lagos that state policing is another form of restructuring where we release power from the center, which I think is right. But I think our president should also understand. But
one thing that the president said was that the states cannot afford salaries now. Already, they're getting bailouts from the federal government, from the Abuja. And then now they want to add state police to. So how will they pay those ones?
Well, one of the lawyers,
and I think that's a very valid.
I think Agbakuba was also saying that you don't have to, instruction doesn't have to be a totally overhaul. Start from the basic things. Maybe like the things, issues of marriage certificates, issues of health, issues of,
there are several
certain procedures that can hand over to the states instead of the federal government.
Restructuring, the structural one. So let's face which one we want part time. I would love to see some states be in charge of their resources, generate their own funds. So I am an oil producing state. I'm in charge of producing oil and I pay royalty to the federal government. I'm in charge of my minerals, like Kogi, for instance, and see what the governors of each state would do with the...
You know, I have mixed feelings about this because when I compare, because Nigeria is always comparing itself to America, the size of America, one state in America is the size of Nigeria. So I have very mixed feelings about this because I think Nigeria is already too divided.
Well, according to our VP, 200 million people cannot be controlled by the center. You just need to break it up. Moving on now to Vanguard, Buhari, Atiku at each other's throats. Buhari ordered the search, says Atiku. You are whipping up sentiment, says Buhari. And for state police, stronger states, says Oshimaji. We talked about that already. Fuel subsidy must go, says Obi Ezekwesili. Obasanjo blasts governors for stealing local government funds. INEC, PDP allays fears over omission of Tambuwal's name. Buhari to diaspora Nigerians, you won't vote in 2019, so forget it. EFCC recovers 871 billion naira looted funds and 407 mansions in 3 years. Alleged $13 million fraud while we released Uzodima's presidency.
The major headline,
right.
The plane search. Buhari has, rebutted Atiku's claims that, the search is plain because they wanted to, get at him and all that. Has never been searched. And this is routine. That's from the minister for, one of the ministers. And Atiku is insisting, his campaign is insisting, if he's never been searched, the APC released a November 5 warning that Atiku was strategizing for the elections in Dubai, and that once he came in, they did that. So it was, that was indications that he was picked on or witch hunted.
They use the word violently searched.
You see this big manism thing. That's what is happening here. I was former vice president. Who dare search my private plane?
But there's an issue like you didn't search before. Why is it not coincidental that they're searching?
In fact, I'm shocked. Because even us local people, poor people, they will be disturbing us at the airports, custom search and all that. And you see, once a person is not covered by diplomatic immunity, this person should be searched. I don't understand.
Nobody should be above the law.
Nobody should be above the law.
How convenient is that now that is running for...
Whether convenient or inconvenient.
The witch cried yesterday. The child died today.
The child
who doesn't know that it is the witch that cried yesterday that killed the child?
What if it wasn't?
Okay.
That's all I'm going to say. I'm not saying you shouldn't be searched. You should be searched. I'm only just talking about the witch.
It's coincidental. That is
the... Okay. And then these are our grandfathers. When we say that grandfathers should just go and rest, train their children, their grandchildren. They are running for presidency.
Yes.
All right.
Let's move on to Daily Sun. Buhari, stolen funds must be returned. It's sad Diezani is not facing trial in UK, says EFCC. Search of Atiku's plane premeditated, says campaign organization. Kalu's lawyer explains absence as court revokes bail. University of Ibadan International School shocked over hijab crisis and controversy over Uzodima's arrest. So, we talk about UI?
Yes. So the
hijab.
The International School Ibadan, yesterday, they closed the school because some of the students came to school in hijab by 7 o'clock, according to the school, and they felt it was a threat and shut down the school. Now, these are parents of the school. Parents were involved in the school in this. They are saying that those parents who encouraged their children to come to school wanted to disorganize what they are trying to do.
Right.
And I wonder, if we say education should be free for all, why do we create impediments for those who say, this is how my religion wants me to be dress?
Why can't we just
This is a private
respect?
school. According to the person in charge of the governing council of the school, whose name I've forgotten, he said that this school is not funded by the university, it's not funded by any government. The school is totally funded by school fees paid by these students.
Right.
So if I pay school fees in this school and it is not a particular religious body-based school, the Constitution allows completely
I mean,
the expression
I think
of religion.
part of,
I don't understand why they want to create an impediment to those
right.
students getting education.
Let's move on because that's an issue that's ongoing.
Growing up, Sha, nobody wore hijab to school, Sha.
I went to hijab school
Why,
as
these
a
were
child.
issues in the north. I went to law school in the north and I saw public schools balance it very
I don't want to
well.
argue it here
So
because
Me,
the
I'm
truth
talking
that
about in Lagos. I didn't go to school in the north.
okay.
anyway, let's not go into that because it's pretty highly controversial. Let's take our final paper very quickly. New Telegraph. Buhari, I'm frustrated over stolen funds. 2 kids, dog found dead inside freezer. I think there was a dog also.
There was a dog in New Telegraph account.
And Okowa Ganduje applaud New Telegraph awards. New Telegraph gave a Ganduje award.
That one made me cough.
I don't understand.
Excuse me. Nobody talk about Uzo Odema that was arrested, the senator, the governor-elect candidate
Imo State.
for Imo State.
We have to run off. Unfortunately, we don't have time. But I really wanted to find out how come Ganduje got an award.
Best governor in health and
How?
I don't know how New Telegraph arrived at that.
New Telegraph, you got to tell us
based
what
on the issues that we have.
criteria was used.
Plenty. And Magudi asked him about Ganduje, he kept quiet.
Okay, let's go to break. I'm sure Uzoduma will still be in the paper, so don't worry, you still talk about it tomorrow.
Please.
Let's go to break.
Uzoduma,
When we come back, we'll talk about Facebook Community Leadership Program. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
In fact, we should make treasure our hot topic. Thanks for staying with us. So today we have the Facebook Community Leadership Program, FCLP. It was developed to address the needs identified by community leaders. The global initiative will give over 100 participants from around the world the support, tools, and funding, and also to help them believe in themselves that they need to be the best in their communities. Joining us on the show is one of the winners of the Facebook Community Leadership Program and the co-founder of Mamalet and Nike Lawa. Welcome to the show.
Welcome.
You can call us on 070-806-6814. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag UVTVC so we can read your tweets. Now, tell us what this Facebook Community Leadership is about.
So the program takes community leaders that are using their Facebook groups or pages to build groups offline or to do positive work in their communities, and then trains us and gives us the funding, support, and tools that we need to do our work better.
Right, interesting.
Who does this? Which program? Facebook?
Facebook, yes.
So Facebook funds and does everything.
Exactly. So, for example, 115 community leaders from around the world were flown to Menlo Park in October. And we had our first meeting where we were basically told about how the program was going to run and the kind of support and funding that Facebook was going to give us over the course of the year.
So I remember the Finn was also part of them because I saw the
Omolola.
Omolola, she was part of it. And I saw Mark Zuckerberg actually referring to her work, what she has done, and how she was able to build a huge 1.7, I think, million followers. People actually on her page.
Yeah.
So someone like that, I mean, I don't know what your own page is, but someone like that, what kind of support would the Facebook give to her?
So, you know, a lot of the times when we start our groups or our pages on Facebook, we actually don't see ourselves as leaders. We are basically doing work that we're very passionate about. However, you know, there's some skills that we probably are lacking that we would need to build on to be able to do our work better. And a very important aspect of the Facebook Community Leadership Program is offline groups. So how have you been able to take connections that you're making online, exactly, and being able to translate that into people meeting offline. And I know Finn does that very well. My group, Mamalet, does that. And another group that also got selected from Nigeria, Ask the Pediatricians, also does that as well.
So I wanted to know how Mamalet got how you were selected as a winner. What does Mamalet do exactly, and how much of that reach was noticed by
So we've built our community for the past 5 years on Facebook. We started on our Facebook page, that was 5 years ago. And then we formed a group as well some 2 years ago. And I think what was very important for our selection was the fact that we started a Mama-led Champions program, where we recruit experienced mothers on our Facebook group and our Facebook page, and we train them as maternal and infant health champions. And so what we do with our groups is in several offline communities in Lagos, in Ibadan, and in Abeokuta, we have groups of pregnant women and young mothers who are meeting up and discussing health topics.
Right.
And our champions also provide support. Sometimes our champions can follow women to the hospital. They help them navigate the health system. We have champions that also help women go to family planning centers where they can get family planning done. So I think that was a very striking thing that Facebook liked about my group.
Right.
Yes.
You really deserved it.
Yes.
Okay. She actually asked the question I was going to ask, how you got elected.
But well, so this conversation really actually is about lots of people out there who want to start Facebook communities and have no clue. They're thinking, what's the big deal? Exactly. But you're saying if you do start a Facebook community, you can actually get noticed and you can get a lot of support from the Facebook mother
I'd like to know what the support is about.
Oh, so number one very important thing that we all need is money. So the funding is also very important. Number two, I never really looked at myself as a leader. I looked at myself as doing work that I was very passionate about. And what was very exciting for me about this program was that I would get training as a community leader. So they have the best experts in the world who know how to basically coach people on how to be better community leaders, who are going to help us build ourselves to be able to do more work both online and offline in our community.
Interesting.
You know, when you say community, I keep thinking, because in me, I'm old school. Community is my area. That's my community. But this community you're talking about is actually online.
Exactly, online communities.
Yes. So, for example, someone like a YK now, for example, she's the daughter of an icon, and maybe she's very passionate about culture and Africa and who we are, and she starts a community, or maybe Africa Shine or whatever, and all they're talking about is culture. So you're saying that if she starts a community of people who are like-minded, who believe in culture, our real Nigerian belief system, trying to bring us back to roots, she can get that community going and then get support from the Facebook the mother family that can actually help out with funding, connections internationally, to get people all over the world who also believe in that vision. See, I already give you an idea.
So I was the grant funding. The grant funding for community leaders is $50,000. However,
I want to start. Please, what is the advice you give to new people out there who want to start their own Facebook communities? What are the basic things they need to pay attention to?
Another very interesting thing as well is that 5 of the community leaders got $1 million each.
Including you?
No, I didn't get $1 million.
You were a winner now.
I'm a winner, yeah.
So what's the criteria?
For people to...
No.
They will not give us.
Maybe next year.
Maybe next year.
Maybe next year. Somebody listening. Maybe next year.
What's the criteria you must have to get you that $1 million? What's that thing they expect of you to do in your communities to earn that kind of support from
So number one, you must be building your community on either Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, or Oculus.
Wow. So all those Tunde people do be collecting this kind of money. They are the eligible, all those big Insta blog people.
Hashtag influencers.
Exactly.
Oh, wow.
So it's very
possible.
possible.
This thing, YK.
Exactly.
We're just sitting out here talking every morning. We're not
in the right.
not in the right business.
Not because Oyibo people decide to recognize you.
So, sorry, continue with the criteria again. So,
Exactly. So if you're building a community on Facebook, on WhatsApp, on Instagram, or on Oculus, any of the Facebook tools. Number two, if you're using your community to do good,
right,
is also a very important criteria.
Okay. So what's the minimum number you should have at least? Is there a minimum number?
So we had people who had 1,500 followers on Instagram that were selected.
What?
Did they win?
Why can you have more than that now?
They won $50,000. There's a girl from South Korea, I think, who even just started her face. I know on our group, we have a group on Facebook for community leaders. So she mentioned yesterday that yesterday was her 1-year anniversary. So you have people who just even started new communities.
I think it's based on certain other criteria. Maybe
exactly.
I'm getting so much inspiration.
It must be whatever.
We must change our scope.
It must be human.
Please.
Human-
Nima, what's your own scope about it? Your people are fighting with
And you see how so
hijab.
many
You better
causes.
go and do hijab matter and
Women,
get
girls' rights
sacked.
advocates,
Yes,
women rights
people are not
advocates,
allowing hijab wearers to enter school. What rubbish is that? First, they start a community. You'll be surprised.
Exactly. That lady that
I would
came.
recommend her immediately.
Auntie Treasure, find the community. Thank you so
I'm
much.
already thinking about it.
Mama Lex, for coming. Anike, thank you for educating us. So you know now that all those people that are just liking and stop following them, they're making money on your behalf.
money.
So you to go and start a cause. Hopefully you get the attention of the Facebook and get so you can win as little as $50,000 and as much as $1 million. That's a lot of cash.
Andrew
Just have
Chatham
followers.
has started hashtag bring back our couch.
All right, it's because of you now. Why can you started this thing? Everybody was already getting used to our couch. It's because you started getting to our table. It's because you started this thing.
Is it my fault I'm
Let's
short?
go on a break. When we come back, we'll talk about maternal mortality. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your view will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Goodness. Thanks for staying with us. Currently, Nigeria is the highest contributor to maternal mortality in Central and West Africa, contributing about 14% to the global maternal mortality rate. According to UNICEF, a woman's chance of dying from pregnancy at childbirth in Nigeria is 1 in 13. Also, over the weekend, Nigeria was ranked 3rd in premature birth globally. What measure is the government putting in place to help reduce this menace? Join us on the show is a lawyer, health advocate, and founder, Halima Health Initiative, Bukola Bolarima. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
This is a very difficult conversation for me to have because I'm pregnant, and this is the last thing I want to be talking about, trust me. But it's scary because even in the last few months, I've been looking for the right hospital because I used one for my daughter, my first child, my next kids. And I wanted somewhere else. I want better service. But it's so difficult finding the right place because I keep asking around. Somebody said, go this place, go here. I go there. I don't like the place. So I'm scared. I'm quite apprehensive of what would happen. So for those who are out there who have no idea what maternal mortality is, help them understand. What does it mean? Yeah.
Maternal mortality is basically looking at the process from a woman's pregnancy and her ability to, all the way to her ability to deliver safely and then have the baby come out healthy and the mother healthy. Yeah, so it's all the processes.
So why is it so difficult for us to have safe deliveries in this part of the world? Because we expect that by now, the way delivery is easy all over the world, that in Nigeria, we shouldn't be having this kind of issues. At least we should have nipped that in the bud. Why is it so hard?
So maternal mortality and healthcare in general is tied to a number of issues that are tied to different issues in Nigeria. A big part of it is funding. Funding for healthcare is very low. A big part of it is lack of equipment, inadequate doctors, inadequate training for staff, and one of the biggest factors is actually poverty. So you will see that if you look at the incidence of maternal mortality in Nigeria, the distribution is that in the north it's a lot higher, and the farther away a woman is from the nearest hospital, the greater the chances of her dying in childbirth or losing her baby in childbirth. So most of the maternal mortality figures that we even see that make Nigeria so high are not in the urban or semi-urban areas. They're in the rural areas where a woman, for example, I mean, we've worked in stories where a woman who was in labor had to climb an Okada for an hour to get to the nearest hospital. And this isn't even a tertiary institution. This is a primary healthcare center. And those ones are, you know, not
But I
that
think
well.
even in Lagos, or I'm not Lagos, but even in the cosmopolitan areas, I believe that the mortality is high as well. Because there's a hospital, the private hospital I've been to in recent times, and there I will see the mother died in I don't know the people, I will just hear, oh, the mother, they're looking after the baby, the mother died in childbirth. So it happens here a lot. Why I'm saying is because I was in England when my daughter was giving birth, and I'm telling you, it is there I knew that there's no hope. Because they were monitoring the baby. As they were monitoring the baby, they were monitoring the mother, they were monitoring we that were standing nearby. Everybody was being monitored. So there is no way. So I realized that there, it is only if it's your time that you will die.
But
Here, your time or it's not your time.
I'd like to talk about some conditions that, would predispose a mother to the kind of fears that YK has. So what are the conditions that
Is it
the
fear?
mother will die?
Yeah, I'm telling you the truth.
No, you know that if I say I stay hospital now, you say I've started. So what are the conditions that mothers can have that, would dispose them to this kind of things?
So there's a variety of issues. Part of the reason, again, like I was saying, that maternal mortality is so high is that a lot of women don't go to antenatal before they get to it. And they would have checked for example, eclampsia is one of the big major causes, and they haven't sort of checked the babies. So many times people go into labor room not knowing what to expect, not having taken any sort of vitamins or haven't monitored their blood pressure and all those things, which if they had the opportunity to go to antenatal before they got to the pregnancy, they would be able to sort of prevent.
Please, can you, for viewers, what is preeclampsia?
Preeclampsia is when I'm not a doctor, so I'm not probably the best person to...
I can help.
Yeah, please.
It's a condition where during pregnancy the mother has high blood pressure.
Yeah.
And because of that, the baby will not get enough oxygen to develop normally. So at 30 weeks, the baby might be like a 16-week-old baby. It's not developing well, it's not getting enough oxygen.
Now, you talked about rural areas.
It will be risky for the mother to go into labor without them controlling the blood pressure enough.
Right. Okay, talk about rural areas, because obviously if the numbers we're getting is coming from certain rural areas. And it's because of the inaccessibility to get, inability to access good healthcare services. What is the government doing in this regard? Because every day we're voting people to be our leaders, and we hear of budgets for health.
And they go abroad for treatment.
And they go for abroad for treatment, like YK has said. So what's the government doing in their own part? And we as the people, what are we doing to ensure that we actually have enough access? Because I know that in Lagos, they try to get healthcare centers as close to the neighborhood as possible, but in certain rural areas, they're very far away. So do you have bodies that are trying to get the government to build more healthcare centers in the communities?
I think maternal mortality is actually one of those areas that you have a lot of people working to try and improve. So on the part of the government, they have a policy called renovation of one primary healthcare per ward. And so a lot of states, like some of the states that I know, Kaduna, for example, they are renovating all primary healthcare centers to ensure that they can deal with some of the emergencies that come with childbirth. And then on private sector as well, so you have, for example, Coca-Cola has the Safe Birth Initiative, where they're helping hospitals with providing equipment and training staff to be able to use some of those equipment. Because the difference between safe birth and an unsafe birth, it can be something as little as an incubator. It can be something as little as oxygen for the mother and the baby. So it's those sort of interventions that are really necessary, and I do think people are trying to work on it. It's just that it's such a huge problem.
Let me take this call and I'll come to Treasure. Femi, thanks for calling. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Go ahead,
morning,
please.
Morayo.
Morning.
Yeah, I listened to your introductory. Please, I'm advising you, and I beg you, if you are going to deliver, the best place for you to go is Island Maternity. Please. The best place for you to go is Island Maternity.
Okay.
No, none of these special hospitals.
Okay.
They still use specialists from Island Maternity when there is problem.
All right.
Please.
Thank you very much, sir. Noted.
Wishing you safe delivery.
Thank you very much.
So I'd like to focus. Okay.
So about what you said about the equipment, like when my mom was having me, she told me that she was healthy from conception up to the point of labor. And then
Can I pause you for a second? Let me go to quick break. When we come back, you ask that question. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So there's a question from Treasure.
Yeah, so I was saying also about the equipment. Many doctors, many hospitals are not like really fully equipped. My mother was healthy. She told me when she was pregnant with me, she was healthy from conception up to labor. But when she got to the hospital, I was a big baby. I was 3.8 kg at birth. And then for me to, for them to deliver me, there was no oxygen. So they had to cut her, tear her, and all that. That wasn't necessary. And that was in the heart of Lagos. I was born in Lagos. I even saw on Instagram the other day how a doctor here too in Lagos had to manufacture an incubator with a carton, hot water bottle.
Obviously, so this is not peculiar to rural areas.
I didn't say that it was. I never said that only in rural areas do we have issues with maternal. I said it's highest. In areas, in rural areas, yes, and that's what's contributing to the high.
I'd like to know what your foundation is doing to, to at least educate people or, assist people with this or provide equipment for some areas. What are you doing exactly?
Yeah, so Hyma Health Initiative, we actually started out helping women get blood donors because part of the big issue is that there's a lot of blood loss that comes with, and women need a lot of transfusions. Getting blood in Nigeria is really tricky, especially when a woman has to lose, a lot of blood. So we started with that, but then we realized that the actual problem is a lack of education all the way across. So from when you're pregnant, you don't know what to do, or your pregnancy is unexpected, for example, all the way to when you have your baby. And like the previous the previous guest had also said, is that some women give birth and then are just like, okay, so what next? What do I do? What immunizations? What do you know? Do you know what I'm saying? So helping provide all that kind of
Let me come to Waiki. Waiki, have Dorian tweets?
Yeah, I have one that's asking, he says, to our guest, well done on your initiative. HYMA is an acronym for what, please?
HYMA means blood. It's the Latin
word for blood.
It means blood?
Yes.
Okay.
So that's where the word hematology and all that comes from.
That makes sense. I also wanted to ask, we know that because of cultural beliefs, certain people would not be disposed to go into our popular so-called equipped hospitals. And recently, Lagos State decided to train traditional birth attendants to, equip them with the necessary knowledge of, okay, this is the limit you can go and when you should refer. What are you doing also to continue this kind of advocacy?
That's also at the national level. I know that the SDG office as well is looking at expanding that program. They did it as part of the Millennium Development Goals to help those women, because they can reach women that are much further out, that don't have the opportunities to come in. So that's also something that we're looking at, because they would be in the best position, not only to help them in their birth process, but to also advise and guide them. Because a little advice, we were saying with the example you gave earlier, is that just a little advice at the beginning of the pregnancy is the difference between a safe birth and
let me take this call from Aisha. Aisha, are you there? Thanks for calling. Aisha.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for calling. Go ahead, please.
Okay, sorry. Actually, I'm not watching the show presently. But I don't know why we love listening to the every prime time.
Sorry? I didn't get that.
And I said we can't watch your prime time again by 8.
Oh, yeah. Okay, the repeats. We'll talk about that towards the end. I'll address that issue. So I was going to ask one more question. Last year, I think there was a group that was trying to lobby the federal government to reduce continually getting health centers, because according to them, equip the ones you have. You already have X amount across the country. Equip them, make them train these nurses. Don't just keep building across the country. What's your own position on that? Do you agree, or do you think we actually do need multiple health centers to reach as many communities as possible?
There's no point in reaching them if you can't help them. And that's exactly what, like I was saying, the Coca-Cola Safe Birth Initiative and all those sort of initiatives are why they're doing really amazing work, is because with the example that you gave, even in people that are in urban centers that are in the heart of sort of Lagos, having to go into hospitals and not having basic things like incubators and things like that, and losing babies for such very simple, preventable ways, is the most important thing is to equip hospitals and train the staff to be able to use them and maintain it. Maintenance, I think, is part of our biggest problems. Yeah.
Unfortunately, we have to wrap up.
We can't even maintain our roads.
Take this one,
Okay. How would they maintain hospital?
Mafe Fagbemi says, so many factors are responsible for this. I agree the problems are really almost inexhaustible. Infrastructure, training, or personal and family history of the expectant mother with likely ailments or disease that can be detected on time. Nutrition is a factor, as well as long road ahead.
Thank you very much. Unfortunately, we have to wrap up because we're running out of time. But I think we've learned something here. once you're pregnant, you need to make sure you identify a healthcare center. It's not until time for delivery, not start looking for where do I go to have it. If you don't live near one, find a way to be, to find it, just find one close by so you can at least make sure the baby is in good health. So people don't have to die for very
follow your doctor's advice.
It's very important. Okay.
I was just going to say, well, you can also pray, because Nigeria, if you do all the right things.
Praying is very important.
You said pray.
I don't have to be a Christian or a Muslim to pray.
Oh, you pray. Oh, why can pray? He's getting small. We're reaching there. Yeah, at least you pray now.
Well, I'm just saying that because my own hospital was a supposed high-class hospital. I suffered.
You prayed. Did you pray?
On that day, I was in too much pain to pray.
May all the factors necessary for delivery work in your favor. Amen.
Amen. You. Let's start praying right now.
She has been praying since. See how she's glowing.
That's all we can take on the show. I know lots of people have been calling concerning the 8 p.m. repeat. We had to pull it down. It was a business decision. Unfortunately, at that time, we have other programs that we need to put there that will be generating for us some revenue for us. But we're looking to see how we can put Your View repeats at another time. Once we decide on the time, we would let you know. We're still talking internally to see where best to put Your View repeats. Unfortunately, that 8 p.m. belt is such prime time that we need to put drama or something else in that bell. So we cannot afford to put another repeat of Your View, which is not generating revenue for the company. So we have to really, we'll find another, once we get a time, we'll inform our viewers, and so you know, because we are not sure yet. That's why we didn't say anything.
Also, it's on YouTube. You can catch it on YouTube immediately after the show.
And
then the 2 a.m. TVC News Nigeria repeat is also.
Do you know the data it uses?
Don't worry,
some people can't afford that data.
We are working on the repeats. We'll see. Once we get the time, we'll let you know. Have a fabulous day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye.